Hello everyone, this is Maurizio, Editor-in-Chief of Power Electronics News. I am here at APEC 2025 showing in Atlanta, USA, and I have the pleasure to be here at the Navitas booth with Sheridan, CEO of Navitas. Hi Gene,
Hi,
thank you for your
Maurizio.
time. How are you?
Great, doing great. How are you?
Fine, thank you. A great show, APEC, yes?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, off to a good
So,
start.
tell me what's new from Navitas. I know the latest bi-directional
Yeah,
solution.
we had a big announcement last month. We brought to production kind of a triple combination. Bi-directional GaN ICs, really the perfect ideal power semiconductor in the history of power semiconductors, kind of a big deal. A companion controller driver for it, our ISOFast drivers, and even a bigger story is the combination of them to create single stage converters, eliminating the PFC section, which is needed today in like 80% of power electronics. So a really powerful kind of triple combination that we announced.
Great, thank you. So let's talk about automotive. So I wrote an article about GaN Automobile that is using your GaN solution for onboard charger. Okay, so but there is also still a topic of debate about GaN for inverter. Okay, what about your comment? GaN-based inverter for automotive, electric vehicle.
Yeah, we really think if you look at GaN's value proposition and strength, switching power supplies is an obvious one. We started with mobile chargers as a clear, big market, simple value prop. Take those switching power supplies, run them faster, and when you do, you deliver more power for faster charging and smaller size and lighter weight. That created a tipping point, the first tipping point for mainstream adoption of GaN in mobile chargers, a $1 billion opportunity. We're looking to redo that, do that again, and create that tipping point in cars, electric vehicles. Onboard chargers is the clear place to do it. It's very similar to chargers, except being 10 watts, it's 10 kilowatts. I think motors is a different story. Motors are going to take some time, but I think onboard chargers and that Chang'an announcement, that's going to production next year, all GaN OBCs, and it brought a lot of benefits in charging speed, charging efficiency, cost of electricity to charge your car. I think we're about to see that same tipping point that we created in mobile chargers occurring in electric vehicles for onboard chargers.
Thank you. So let's talk about the cost of GaN. Are there any breakthrough on the horizon that can reduce the cost of GaN, the devices? So talking about also scaling in terms of GaN devices to larger wafer size. So do you see some limitation, any challenges? So which is your comment?
Yeah, there's really multiple levels to, let's just take cost reduction as one example, as you brought up. One, moving the wafer diameter. Most of the volume today is on 6-inch, moving to 8-inch in the next couple of years. And then after that, I'd say at the end of the decade, moving to 12-inch. So that's one dimension, just more chips per wafer is an obvious one, like the entire semiconductor world. But GaN more specifically, and more specifically at Navitas, we continue to integrate more circuits and do that very cost effectively. So we're constantly integrating, even bidirectional GaN is actually replacing 4 power switches into a single one and giving you efficient bidirectional energy flow at the same time. So circuit integration continues to push forward and then continue to push that frequency up. You push the frequency up, now I'm not just saving money on the active components, I'm saving money on the passive components as well. And then there's no better example than, again, back to single stage BDS converters, we just eliminated an entire power conversion stage. That's the biggest bang for the buck you could possibly imagine.
So talking about silicon carbide, you have a portfolio for both wide band gap. So the cost of silicon carbide is going also down, is reducing. We have to also talk in terms of device cost and system level cost, probably in terms of silicon carbide. So how do you see the next application in replacing IGBT in the next future? So IGBT will enjoy the 50th anniversary in 2032.
Right.
So probably will not a so nice party for IGBT.
Right. Maybe a retirement party may be coming for IGBTs, because silicon carbide, as much as it's more mature in a much bigger market today, $3 to $4 billion, still a lot of advancement going. In a similar way, we're pushing generations probably faster than anybody. We're in generation 3 today, about to launch generation 4. We have generation 5 and generation 6 in development in parallel. Each generation shrinking the chip, more die per wafer, better performance, but also I'd say tapping into the higher frequency performance. Most silicon carbide applications today are still running relatively low frequency. And while GaN might be the ultimate in frequency, there's opportunities to push silicon carbide into higher frequency. So you put that all together, and yes, I think the retirement party for IGBT is not so far away.
Thank you, Gene. And talking about silicon carbide, what about module, full silicon carbide module? So the packaging probably is a big topic in this case because we have to reduce parasitics, inductance. We have to keep as much as low possible inductance. So the packaging is also important because it's the first to fail if we talk about reliability in this case.
Right.
So which is your activity in this case?
Well, in fact, when we acquired GaN and SiC, it was very much a discrete portfolio, very impressive, very wide range of voltages and power levels, but very discrete. So modules is a huge opportunity for us. In the last year, we launched the SiC pack. Other people have different names for it, but that's a popular module, and we re-engineered it for high reliability. Not low inductance, it's already pretty good on inductance, but that's just the beginning of what you're going to see from Navitas to take this great GaN and SiC technology and move it into power packaging, power modules. We have a whole package R&D team that we didn't have 2 years ago. That's now hard at work on next generation packaging. And you're exactly right, low inductance, push that frequency up, as I said, for silicon carbide. So, stay tuned, but there's a lot more to announce in the module expansion from Navitas.
So, and talking about fabless, not fabless, so this is a big topic, like Amleto, to be or not to be.
Yeah.
So let's understand which are the advantages, disadvantages. So Navitas could transition from a purely fabless model to a sort of, you said in some video, fab-lite. So it's a hybrid combination in practice. So how you balance internal fabrication with to bring in your house some activities? You could also use some cheap fabs in the USA that are running legacy silicon 6-8 inches to retrofit it for GaN and silicon carbide. Probably better for GaN. I don't know. Tell me more.
Right. I think this fabless versus IDM model or foundry model has to be taken in the context of gallium nitride and silicon carbide. These are really advanced materials, advanced technologies. Navitas has the best design technology for GaN and silicon carbide, but they use low-tech fabs. These can run on really old fabs. In fact, we build gallium nitride at TSMC's Fab 2. Fab 1's not in production. Fab 2 was built back in the 80s, believe it or not. Same thing on the GaN and SiC technology. X-Fab in Texas is an old TI fab, built also back in the 90s. And that's actually ideal. You really want to tap into these old factories where the equipment is fully depreciated, doesn't need a lot of capital, but you can breathe new life into them. The silicon chips are going on to 8-inch and 12-inch and more advanced geometries, more expensive equipment. Gallium nitride and silicon carbide can backfill those old ones. So you really don't want to build new factories, in my opinion here. You don't need expensive equipment. This is inherently a capital light industry when you focus on gallium nitride and silicon carbide. And I think that positions Navitas really well for a fabless or a fab-lite model being successful. In fact, the only equipment you need is some high temperature tools for silicon carbide and the epi reactors for both technologies. That's measured in millions or maybe 10 or 20 million, not hundreds of millions of billions for a lot of advanced silicon-based technology. So I think our model is perfectly suited to what it takes to build these things in high volume.
Thank you, Gene. My last question for you. So, talking about sustainability. So, power electronics, in my opinion, is the only solution for bringing sustainability in our planet, talking about climate change, efficiency in this case. What is your key sustainable message that you would like to give to our audience?
Well, I think the biggest is that, for me, electrification is alive and well. We've seen in the last year a slowdown with the growth rates in industrial, with EV. Politically, there's a little debate about, fossil fuels. The fact is, fossil fuels will be a key ingredient for years and decades to come, but electrification is an inevitability. Electricity is the currency of our future, and we're making it more efficient every day. So my biggest message is electrification, and therefore the sustainability power that comes with that is alive and well, and it's going to be a great driver for the next decade or two for our whole industry.
Thank you so much, Gene. Thanks a lot.
Great
have a good show. Great to see you, and have a good show in Atlanta.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Stay tuned. Thank you.
Bye-bye.